Hello again. Welcome to the top 10 worst list of everything ever. Glad to be back. I'm your host for this video. My name is Penis Galore. It's a real pleasure to be back again. I would apologize in advance. I'm having an extreme pain episode for the last 2-3 days. And I don't know that I'm going to be my usual, extraordinarily brilliant, hilarious, ebullient, and joyful. I'm not in good form. I'll do what I can, but the rage is still intact. I'm still angry with everything. I'm more disappointed, I suppose. Anyway, before we get started, a few reminders for you. Those of you out there who just, are ready to poised to sue me for my coffee being too hot or for my quarter pounder not actually weighing out to be an entire quarter pound. Or any of the other things that, that you feel compelled to nitpick about. So, number one, I'm nuts. I'm absolutely out of my gourd. I have deep problems that are psychological problems that are untreated. I cannot be trusted or relied upon. So, if you have a choice between some of the things that I say or claim or insert as part of this production endeavor, if you have a choice between trusting me or looking it up in the Encyclopedias Britannica, just look it up in the Encyclopedias Britannica. Number two, I am not partisan. I know you take a look at me and you think like, well, this guy is somewhere to the left of Karl Marx. Untrue. I am a progressive-minded person. And what I'm trying to do here is find an end to the hostilities and the hatred that's been created intentionally by our ruling overlords who have divided and conquered us by imposing a wide array of prejudices within us. And I'm not playing that game anymore. Do you get it? I'm not playing the game. You take your damaged goods, and project it on someone who gives a rat's ass. Because it ain't this guy. Got it? I'm trying to create a movement here where we all hate everyone and everything equally together. You got it? Good. All right, so let's get to today's topic. Today's list. Top 10 list of worst people they should get to play the Joker in the next godforsaken Batman reboot they force us to sit through. Got it? Who's gonna play the Joker? Really? How many times have they rebooted? Spider-Man's been the worst lately, where they keep rebooting Spider-Man like every couple of weeks, right? And then every time they reboot it, he's got to get bit. And it's always the spider thing, and he's got to have his uncle killed, and all these, it's like, what do you think? We've been sitting in a cave for the last 40 years or whatever? We know how Spider-Man got invented or whatever. And it's always, a little bit different. How could it possibly be different? Isn't this supposed to be canonical? I mean, don't you have any idea what it does to us when we see a different kind of spider biting in a different setting? Peter Parker, and everything gets nowhere. It doesn't get, I mean, it's just like, but you know what I really, since we're talking about the Joker, the Batman, everything like that, the Batman one is really, really obnoxious. All these origins, he goes out and he doesn't want to see the opera, so we got to leave early and we can walk through the alley even though we're billionaires, and we get stabbed up real good by some, who is it? Is it, early incarnation of the Joker when he was young, dancing the devil in the moon, was under the moonlight, whatever it is? Or is it just some random guy that's put up to do it by Ra's al Ghul or something? Just pick a story and stick with it. And, even better, just skip the goddamn origin story. Every time you got to reboot, it doesn't matter. You can, people, those movies are like, sort of PG-13 anyway. So anybody who's not old enough to remember the previous reboot, they're going to have to go with their parents, and the parents can explain it to them. This guy Batman is just like, it's like a hard luck kid whose parents got, slaughtered because they're billionaires and they decided to walk through a dark alley when no one's around. Where's their frickin' limo? Frickin' limo. But you know what? The whole thing about, like Batman, Iron Man, the whole reason that they do these movies over and over and over again and just shove these same stories down at the same villains, everything like that. The only reason to do the movies, while they really do the movies, the real plot that the people with the green light power are okaying the money to be spent on these things is because these movies are trying to humanize billionaires. Bruce Wayne, a billionaire, playboy, jet setter, and philanthropist. Oh, no wonder they consider it to be like fantasy movie, because nobody could possibly believe that a billionaire would be human or have any human feelings whatsoever without movies like this. And then you've got, Tony Stark, billionaire, industrialist, arms dealer. And he wants to, I'm sacrificing my life for everybody because I'm such a great person. Because billionaires are such wonderful people. Billionaires, oh my God, don't get me started. But the fact is that that's why they do these movies. Because the people who are putting up the money for these movies are billionaires. And they don't want people to walk up to them in dark alleys and stab them in front of their kid. Mostly because they want to have time to be able to spend their money and laud their lives of luxury over us as they parade themselves into their luxury skyboxes while the rest of us sit, nose to butt with somebody who's got, bird flu or something. It just gets my goat. Anyway, so today's lists. People, they should get to play the Joker in the next Batman reboot. Okay, number 10, Kellyanne Conway. Now here's somebody, I don't know if y'all remember Kellyanne Conway. Your capacity for the public at large seems to be so limited, and just sort of, I get it. The 24-hour news cycle just pushes all those memories from like an hour ago into the trash heap of the back recesses of their gray matter in your skull. But Kellyanne Conway, she was the one who coined the phrase alternate facts as a synonym for lies. So good. And doesn't need any, the evil spirit lies within her. Is so profoundly toxic and venal that, she won't even need makeup. It'd be like, who was that guy who did, I think Jack Nicholson did a werewolf movie when he didn't use any makeup or something like that. Anyway, she's like the Lon Chaney Sr. of the modern day political culture. And I'm not, casting aspersions about, her actual looks, the level of beauty. Would I call her between a 1 and a 10? I would call her, I don't know, maybe a 9. I'd do Kellyanne Conway in a heartbeat. That's because I'm just like a skosh, like a decimal point above a 0 at this point. So I don't, I'm not trying to rewrite the whole script of political correctness just to it's just that people who are evil inside their hearts, they sort of like they take on a visage of evil that sort of glows from within them and shows through their features. It's just like there's something evil that lurks within them, and you could see it, like just like when you walk up to them, you're like, oh God. Anyway, number 9, Bobby Moynihan. You could really take anybody. I mean, let's try to, maybe we should, Joker, maybe do a little different of a Joker. That's that guy, Kenan, Thompson. Kenan Thompson. If we're going to use somebody who's like wore out their welcome, Bobby Moynihan overstayed his welcome in, I don't know how many seasons he was on Saturday Night Live, but he overstayed his welcome at some point during the first episode. You talk about something that's just horrible, demented. I think that, if there was a real life Joker, I'd call him Lorne Michaels. Because Lorne Michaels is like the deeply, deeply ultra right-wing guy who creates this show that pretends to be lefty. But all the lefties that he puts on there are these smug, self-imposing, sort of idiotic jerk-offs who aren't funny. They're not profound. They don't have anything interesting or witty that they can draw upon from their own life experiences, because they have no life experiences. They're all a bunch of rich punks, droll, uninspired, phoning in their lives and pretending that they're, like they've got all the answers. But it's just like, who cares about any of the stuff that they've done in the last, what do they have, 75 years now or something like that? 73 and a half of the years that Saturday Night Live has been on, it's been a pile of garbage. Exhibiting the useless, forgettable, disposable skits of people like Bobby Moynihan and Kenan Thompson. If they would be more entertaining, Saturday Night Live would be more entertaining if they just showed the studio with nobody in it at all, just for an hour and a half, and just showed the studio, and it's just like going to have an overlaid voice, every, I don't know, 8 minutes or something like that. Oh, we'll be right back after this commercial, and then just came back and it's just empty studio. That would be more compelling than what Saturday Night Live is. And I'm not talking about right versus left. I'm talking about good versus gross. Saturday Night Live is not funny. It's not memorable. It's just the same old thing when they finally latch onto something that somebody laughs a couple, just chortles. They just like drive it into the ground and show it to you like a million freaking times. It was like maybe almost funny for 10 seconds, and now you're replaying it over and over again, doing the same characters, same sort of thing over, and sorry about that, over and over again. And who cares? It's so unlistenable and so unentertaining and just disposable. I mean, jeez. And then so smug. So goddamn smug. And I know that there's tons of people I've gone on, I've been, like a promoter for a long time and did a lot of shows, booked a lot of gigs, had a lot of collaborations with people who are really, really funny and really honest and hardworking and deserve the time on the airtime to be able to make a career for themselves. And they're being marginalized and kicked to the curb because they're just a tiny little bit too real and genuine as people. So they go sifting through, and this maniac guy, this Lorne Michaels, the reason why they keep him around for so long is because he's doing the dirty work for the ruling elite. He's creating a show that's a total disguise that has nothing to do with true progressivism. It's all, so you take a look at the guy who they get in 2026, they get imitating Trump. He's so lifeless and so his criticisms are so muted and ineffectual, and the jokes are so bad, and they all, are lame. It's just completely horrible. In the meantime, you got somebody who's running the country as like a goddamn fiefdom, and destroying every freedom that we ever had, and calling racist things and hateful things, and 150 text messages. I mean, in the middle of the night. It's just driving everybody nuts. And you talk about, the derangement syndrome and everything like that. The thing that's creating it is that shows like Saturday Night Live, where they pretend that they've got real lefties and progressives who are going up against this unmitigated, relentless hatefulness. And these lefty guys are like, aren't they funny? I'm funny. I'm funny. You're not funny. You're not poignant. It's not satire. It's capitulation. Number 8, Sharon, of people that should get to play the Joker in the next frickin' ridiculous Batman reboot that, who knows, we're due for one any minute now. Number 8, Sharon Stone's hoo-ha. Now, a lot of people, I think, really, sort of downplay or underrate the performance that Sharon Stone's hoo-ha gave in Basic Instinct. I thought it was compelling. Maybe not Oscar-worthy, but certainly Golden Globes worthy. Or perhaps a Writers Guild or a Drama Desk Award. Number 7. It's a tie. This one's a tie between Rahm Emanuel and a gallon of Spumoni ice cream. Now, Spumoni ice cream's got, interesting color scheme. The nuts inside Spumoni are pistachios, so that you get the little green in there, and then you get I don't know what the flavors are, or what is Spumoni supposed to be flavored like? It's marzipan or something? But Spumoni, and then, Rahm Emanuel, that guy, again, here's another guy who's supposed to be like the highest echelon, highest level of blueness. Yes, your blueness. It's more like anus than blueness. And I'll tell you why. Because here's a guy who was the majority whip for Slick Willie, was the chief of staff for Obama. You can't get a pedigree more blue than Rahm Emanuel. And then he comes in and he becomes mayor of Chicago, and what does he do? Well, number one, he lets that shady LLC that grabbed all the parking meters and for pennies on the dollar in a deal, lets them get away. All the people who did that, who stole that asset out from underneath the city of Chicago, lets them get away. Then he loses a teacher's strike, and to get back at them, because he's such a scumbag, he closes 50 schools. And so all those teachers and everything like that, they're all gone. They're all fired, basically. They all lost their jobs. So, I mean, it just happened right after he lost the teacher strike. And what are we supposed to think? That these were unrelated? In my opinion, there's no way they're unrelated. This is who that person really is. He's not a Democrat. In fact, he was the one who went out during Bill Clinton's regime and got all these right-winger Republicans to transfer over to the Democratic Party. And they call them the Blue Dog Democrats. Anybody remember Blue Dog Democrats? No, of course you don't. You're too busy, making sure that you've got, the best possible deal on a new pair of Crocs. So he did that. And this was a major league thing. This is when the Democratic Party faithful, if you want to call it that, became unfaithful. And that's when you got all these Republicans who were, disguising themselves as Democrats all throughout the party. And that's when, things really started to go bad for the working class and the middle class in this country. That's because they ceased at that point to have any representation whatsoever in the power apparatus. Yeah, it'd been bad for a long, long time, and really from the top down, they didn't have much representation. But from that point on, they didn't have any. And we didn't have anybody working class or blue collar. You think that you're not included in this just because you vote red? You are included in this because whether or not you care to admit it to yourself, you're the victim just as much as everyone else. And you're owning the libs, everything like, oh, I own the libs. Wow, how good. Well, good for you. Well, you know what, as a matter of fact, all the blue cities and everything like that, the ones who are paying the bulk of the taxes in this country, they're making the most money, they're paying the most taxes. They're carrying the dead weight of all the MAGA people who just keep complaining about what can we do to destroy the libs, what can we do to hate the libs. It's going to destroy the whole goddamn country. Don't you get it? Can't you figure it out? It's goddamn simple. What have you been spending your life watching Duck Dynasty all the time and thinking like, oh, well, everything's simple. These people are all dumb. Our politicians are dumb. Our stars are dumb. Everything. These people aren't dumb. The people who are really pulling the strings are not dumb. When are you going to get that through your head? The people that they're displaying in public are intentionally designed to look dumb because they're puppets and they're trying to get us to capitulate and to give up and just say like, whoa, these dummies won't be able to get one over on me. They got one over on you. They got every single one over on you for decades and decades. Decades and decades. And you can't even figure out who to hate for it. So anyway, before that, Rahm Emanuel also got rid of all the janitors, the unionized janitors in the city, kicked them to the curb, kicked all the cabbies to the curb, and let Uber come in without any. He just blinked and it was over. The cabbies were gone and the Uber was there, and Uber's cabbies were unionized. Cabbies made a good living. At one point, you could be a cabbie and be a single income earner, put your kids through college, and get your own house and everything like that. It used to be a great living. Not so much anymore. And that's Rahm Emanuel in action. You know, you blah, 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 about all this rhetoric and stuff like that about, so on and so forth about protecting people's rights and being, inclusive and all that stuff. Lies, 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 lies. Sorry, buddy, but that's the truth. Number 6, Jeff Bezos' wife. Jeff Bezos' wife would make a great Joker. Am I wrong? The problem is that Jeff Bezos in real life is so much more evil than the Joker in the comic books that it's like innocuous. Number 5, Dr. Zaius from the original Planet of the Apes. Now that would be a good Joker. I'm not sure what I was thinking when I jotted this one down. When Dr. Zaius seems like a nice guy between a rock and a hard place. Did what he had to do. Did what he thought was right to protect, all apes. Not just apes and Planet of the Apes didn't really have. They had some powerful orangutans and stuff like that seemed to be power players, but they were living in houses that were made out of mud. So, that wasn't like they had a, ruling elite aristocracy like we've got. So I'm not really down. Maybe Dr. Zaius would just make, like a funny, satirical, Joker, again and again. That's another thing. Joker, how many times are you going to see the Joker as the goddamn villain and all this stuff? Penguin, where's Gorilla Grodd? Where's, who's another Batman, Mr. Mixicaplickt? Or he's Superman. What's an old school Batman villain? Reverse Flash? Number 4, Paul Giamatti is Dr. Zaius from the Tim Burton Abomination version of Planet of the Apes. Now, he's more evil, okay? That movie, it was such a shame. I was so excited at Tim Burton doing a Planet of the Apes movie that could be, freaky and get in some new territory. It was it's like watching a bus full of orphans careen off of the side of the Pacific Coast Highway. Number 3, one of the Jonas Brothers, the slow one with the big ears. That guy is, again, another person who wouldn't need makeup to play the Joker. Just so, I mean, how does somebody even like that? It's, another product of Disney. Everybody thinks Disney. Oh, wow, so liberal Disney. Wow, what a liberal media. We've got so many liberals in the media. And so many people who own media outlets are liberal. And so, do you even, listen to yourself when your thoughts are running through your head when you're thinking liberal media, liberal media, liberal media? Do you even, listen to yourself and just think, wait a second, who owns the media? Well, the guy who sold out to Larry Ellison for Paramount and CBS, Viacom, and Random House Publishing, things like that. Larry Ellison, by the way, second richest person on planet Earth. But he was sold Paramount from a guy named Sumner Redstone. Hi, I'm Sumner Redstone. Would you like to come down to the club? Oh, I'm sorry. You're dark complected, aren't you? You won't be able to come down to the club. It's a real shame because they're having a Jew hunt at our club this Sunday. You would have loved it. Sumner Redstone, a guy named Sumner Redstone owned Viacom and Paramount and Random House and all the County Central. It's all this stuff. And you think a guy named Sumner Redstone is down for bringing in a bunch of, wacky liberal progressives who could actually represent the working class and blue collar types of this world? Why don't you give me some of what you've been smoking so I can, have, just tune out to reality for a while also. And then they get Disney brings out the Jonas Brothers, rolls them out, oh, I'm Jonas Brothers. And with those ears and stuff like that. Can he pick up Radio Disney on those ears? As long as he's working for Disney, they're cheap. They have a history of deeply disturbing racism. They have whitewashed every aspect of their culture with Lizzie McGuire's and Jonas Brothers and Hannah Montana's and everything, turning kids into just plastic robots in mass with all their indoctrinational bulldink. These are horrible monsters. But beyond anything that anybody's telling you, these creatures are imposing deeply disturbing plagues on the human race. And it's gotten to the point where there's just hardly anything left. Fifth grade reading level is the average. 35 something percent of the people can't even make it, past high school. They flunk out of school before they get through high school. What are you going to do? I mean, it's part of it's the volunteer army that they need a bunch of dummies that they can recruit because they have no way out of the hardship and difficulties of their lives and no money to go to school and, maybe not raised well or not taught well by these lousy schools. So they have intellectual disadvantages in the open marketplace and stuff like that. And all they got a choice is to join in the army. And they can get food and clothing and shelter and everything like that, and it's all good. It's the volunteer army. You can't have a goal of making everybody smart and self-sustaining and able to think for themselves and able to write frickin' cursive or whatever and still have a volunteer army. Rotten bastards. Number 2 of the people that you get to play the Joker, the next boring-ass, redundant reboot of Batman that they're going to do, they're going to do it any minute now. Number 2 is Gandalf the White. Gandalf is, Speaking of racism, let's talk about Peter Jackson, right? What's up with Peter frickin' Jackson? Oh, Mr. Jackson, do you have a problem working with, people of color in your movies? No, mate. I love working with, let's do 10,000 Beatle movies because they only have that one regrettable scene with that Billy Preston. Other than that, they're all white. Everybody's white. And then we can have all the Gandalf, the white, and have no people of color in, what do they call that thing? Hobbit land. Shrimps on the Barbie. Nobody, anything but white. That was my patent imitation of Peter Jackson. Thank you. All right, and finally, the number one, the top recommendation that I've got for a person to hire to play Joker and the next redundant and boring-ass reboot of Batman that's about to happen any second is Gandalf the Grey. Ooh, wait, white. Peter Jackson's going to direct the next Batman. It's going to be like all white people to get rid of. Alfred will be played by, we'll see who's the lizard person of the day. Benedict Cumberbatch. And the guy that Morgan Freeman played, he'll be played by Ed Sheeran. Let's see what other white people it would Peter Jackson be comfortable working with. You know what I'll do, mates? I'm going to do a movie, a remake of King Kong. Not because anybody wants to see King Kong again, nobody does. But back when King Kong, the time period of King Kong, the only people of color they had around there were the slave natives, and they're all barely literate, and you can show them just, like natives and stuff, and all the other main characters will be white. Peter Jackson. All right, anyway, so that's all the time I got for this particular edition of top 10 worst things in the world. I just wrap it up with my usual salutation. Everything I've said on this video are opinions, okay? Not of my own, but bestowed upon me by Almighty God. Or whatever generative and some intelligent power that created the universe. I don't know what it is. If you got to figure it out, good for you. I'm not going to begrudge you that. I ask you not to begrudge me because I simply can't figure it out. I am channeling these things through me. I haven't come up with stuff that's just out there in the universe somewhere. There's an energy kind of floats around. A zeitgeist, I don't know what you want to call it, but it's there and it happens, and you quiet yourself and you just let yourself be real in tune with the universe around you, and it will just channel through you. I am simply channeling these things, not to brag, but, those who want to kill me, dump their own emotional baggage on me for my opinions or my thoughts or my comedy, shoot the messenger. I guarantee my life sucks. It's full of betrayal. I've been in so much pain over the last couple of days, I can't even describe it to you. Titanic amounts of physical pain, loneliness, regrets, on and on and on. And nobody could possibly think, if they knew me for real, that, they should be jealous of the life that I'm living. The only reason I appear to be happy is because through no fault of my own, okay? I was born with a great power of resilience. I don't know what it is. It's just the way it is. So I get, beaten on, depressed, backstabbed, betrayed, everything like that. And just somehow I just keep on plugging away. It's not, I think I had nothing to do with it. It's just luck of the draw, like everything else, and 90% of our lives are made out of. So even though my life sucks, I got some kind of mechanism that kicks in to power me through it, and I still find something resembling joy in my life. I don't know. It is, however, 100% cosmetic. The biggest torture or misery you could ever come up with for me, I promise, is nothing compared to the level of grief and anguish I endure simply by being allowed to live. every day. Hit me up with a comment, though, if you've been inspired or feel creative. Join my Patreon or leave me a tip. It would be great because my physical ailments are just about ready to, make life unsurvivable for me. So why not click the like button, subscribe, you filthy animal, and let's try to get through this mess together.